Alright, hello again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. Today was the first day of the semester, January 9th, 2017, and some people had problems doing the All-American program, so I thought I would do it in two different ways for you and tape it so that if you do have problems with it and you want to, you can go back and watch this. So, I just started up Visual Studio. I closed the beginning screen and I'm going to do a File, New, Project. And we're going to talk about these, but you always want to make sure that you've chosen Visual C# here, and it should say Windows Forms Application. That's what we're going to use. I've set my directory as I showed you in class, and I'm just going to call this AA Project Version 1, Version 01. Alright, so it's the All-American Project Version 01. As I mentioned in class, there are many ways that you can create this. I'm going to show you two of them. The first thing I'm going to do is these are called sizing handles right here, these little round things. So I'm going to grab down here and just drag down a bit. There we go. And I also want to add then, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add one component at a time and make all my changes. Then add another one, make my changes, add another one, etc. Remember, there's 5 components in here. There's the form, and there are the 4 buttons. So I'm going to click there. Now I'm on my form, and I'm going to change the form to Form All-American AA Version 01. Okay, nothing specific, spectacular about that name. And I'm going to change the name here to All-American Form Version 01. So you can see that up here. As I did in class, I'm going to come in next with this highlighted, and I've changed the name. So I'm going to go over to my back color property. I'm going to click on the circle, click on the down arrow, and choose Custom. I can choose System, but you'll notice that the colors I get they're not very many of them. Same with Web. I can choose that, and I get a few more colors, but I'd probably go from Web too. I like the Custom. And just to make it a little different, this time let's make it yellow. Okay, so there we go. So I've added the form, step 1. So let's kind of document these. So step 1, I added the form. Well, let's just take it totally from the start here. So All-American Version 01. Okay. Alright, so first I started a new project. Start a new C# project. And in my case, I called it AA Project Version 01. Okay. Number 2, I resized the form. I changed the name of the form to whatever we just called it. Form AA Version 01. Alright. Next, I changed the default background color of the form to yellow. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Alright. Next, I'm going to add a button. Just going to click on it and drag down here. So I've added my button. First thing I want to do is I want to change the name to Button Red, and I want to change the text to red. Right now it's not going to do anything because there's no code there. So I'm going to double click on the button itself. And remember, I've already changed the name, so let's add our steps. So what did we just do? Next, we added a single button to the form. Next, we changed the name of the button to, or from button 1 to button red. Next, we changed the text of the button from button to red. Okay, so that's what we're doing so far. That's what we've done. Next, we're going to add the code for the button red button. All right, so I'm going to again double click on this, and notice it's opening up as button red, which is what I want. So what I want to say here is this, which means the current object, in this case the form, dot back color. All right, so I'm going to change the background color, and that's equal to system.drawing. See, I've already got system.drawing here, so I shouldn't need to say that. All right, equals color dot red. You'll notice there's a bunch of different shades of red too in here. I could have used any of them. All right, so I added this line of code. Now originally when we did this, we said system.drawing.color.red, but since we're already including this system.drawing right here, we don't need to say all that. So just color.red, and let's see if it works. So first, the next thing I did here, I wanted to double click the button and add the following code. And that was right here. All right. Next, I'm going to save and run the program. Okay. So I'm going to click Save All, and I'm going to run the program. So I can either do a File, Save All, or I can do a Control-Shift-S, which to me is too much work. So I'm going to click the double disk icon right there. Now I'm going to run the program by clicking the green button here that says Start. And you'll notice there's my form, and I've got just a single button that says red, and when I click it, the form turns red. It's a great start. Okay? Now what makes this easier is now what I want to do is pretty much the same thing 2 more times. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab all these steps that I've got in here from steps 4 to 8. So be step 9. I'm just going to paste that in. All right. I'm going to say add a second button to the form. Change the name of the button from button 1 to button white. Change the text on the button from button to white. And add the following code. Okay, which I should be fixing my 10, 11, 12, 13. So this one will have to say this.backColor equals color.white. And again, then I'll click Save All and run the program. Now there's many ways. Remember, I can come in here and I can, just like we did before, I can click and drag that down, or I can double click on the button, or I can right mouse click, choose copy, right mouse click again, choose paste. Any of those will work. You'll notice that now it's got the same name on it, which I don't want. So this also says red, but notice it did call it button 1 when I did it. Any of those ways I do it, that's what it's going to call it. So this one will become button white. And I will come down here, change the text to white, just like we said before. All right, so it's half done. Double click on it. There's button white. I'm just going to copy this code up here. But I want to change it, instead of saying color.red, I want to say color.white. All right, again, I'm going to click the double disk icon. I'm going to run this second time. Red works, white works. Okay, I'm halfway there. So Coming down into my steps here, I'm going to again copy all these steps, paste that in. This will now be step 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So I will now add a third button to the form. I'm going to change the name from button 1 to button blue. I'm going to change the text from button to blue. I'm going to double click the button and add this dot back color equal code dot blue. And I will click save all and then run the program. Okay, so I'm just about there. So again, for something different, this time I'll come in and double click on the button right here. Okay, and there to put it. So let's move that over. Again, we want to change the name from button 1 to button blue. We want to change the text on our button to blue. Then we're going to double click on our button and we're going to grab this same code we just put in, and that's color dot blue. We are now 3/4 of the way through. Our red works, our white works, and our blue works. Good. But we right now have no way to end this program. Okay? So we're going to add that right now by adding one last button. So I'll just click and drag this one down. There it is. It's not perfect as far as how it's lined up, but it's pretty good looking at it, just eyeballing it. So there's my button 1. Change the name again. This one will be called button exit. We'll change the text on it to exit. We'll double click it, and the only code we have to put in here is application.exit. And since that's a method, we put the paren semicolon. We're now done writing our code. Let's update our steps here. It's added. I'm just going to say here, add, not added. I'm going to make this. Oh, it sounds past tense, and I don't like the way that sounds. So change, double click, save, add a second, change, add a third button, change, double click, click save all and run the program. So let's come through here. Let's copy all 5 or so of these lines. And we'll have to change the numbers, of course. 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. My heat is just kicked on. It gets to be very loud, so I'm going to pause the video right now. Alright, so I now want to add a 4th button, so I just have to change the verbiage here. I want to change the name of the button from button 1 to button exit. I'm going to change the text of the button from button to exit. I'm going to double click the button and add the following code. Now I don't have to say this. It's just application.exit and run the program. Alright, so those are my steps, approximately 25 of them. That's what I just did. So let's save and test it out. Alright, red, white, blue. I can go back and forth, blue, white, red, blue, red, etc. You see it all works. And the exit also works. So that's the first way of creating this. Alright, so I'm going to save this. And I'm going to do a file. and I'm going to close the solution, which means that Visual Studio is still open, but it's ready for a new project. So right now in here, I've got what I just created here, this AA project version 1, and I'm just going to get rid of the other ones that I created earlier. I don't need them. All right, and I'm going to start all over, but I'm going to make sure I have this, the name I want, which is going to be AA version 02. So I'm going to come back in here. Hopefully you see the method of my madness in just a minute. I'm going to do a File, New, Project. It's being saved in the right place, and it's now AI version 02. Okay? All right, and you see that. Exactly what we had before. Now I want to go back to my steps that I had here, and I want to copy all of this. All of it. Copy it. Oops. All right, now I'm going to paste it back in right about here. Okay, so there was the first one that I did, and now this will be the second one. So this will be AA version 02. I'm going to do it almost the same way. All right, almost the same way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the order of these operations. So in other words, I changed the default background color to yellow. That's fine. I can do that. This time, let's change the default background color to pink, just so it's a little different. Then I'm going to add a button to it. I'm going to add, we'll say here, the first button to the form. All right? And I'm not even going to worry about changing the name or anything like that. So I'm going to add the first button to the form. Then I'm going to add the second button to the form. Then I'm going to add the third button to the form. Then I'm going to add the fourth button to the form. All right, so we have to renumber our steps here. Just to change it up a little bit to show you that as long as you're consistent in the way you do things, all right, there's a lot of different ways this can be created. So let's start with that. Again, it's AA version 2. I think that's what I called it. So this is what I want to call the form. We stretch this out just a little bit. Okay. And we want to come to the form, which is the only thing we have on here right now. I've now renamed it Form AA version 2. And I don't even remember what we said on the first one. So I'm just going to say this is version 02 of our All-American program. Okay, it might be different from the last one. I don't really care. Let's click on this. Go to the back color. Let's change the back color. All right, so again, click here, click here. Let's do something different. Let's look under the web colors and see if we can find a pink. Peach Puff, Bisque. Oh, that's lovely. There we got pink. There we go. Okay, so we've got that done. Now let's add our 4 buttons. I like to drag. I don't know why, but to me, it's the way I started doing it when I started to do this stuff. So I'm going to drag the first one, the second one, then the third one. I want this just a tad wider, I think. And then the fourth one. Okay, so there's my 4 buttons. So far, in our steps, I've come in, I started a new project, gave it a name, resized the form, changed the default background color of the form to pink, add the first button to the form, add the second button to the form, add the third button to the form, and add the fourth button to the form. Now, I want to change the name of the first button from button 1 to button red. And when I get done with that, so I want to change the name of the first button, then I want to change the name of the second button. Then I want to change the name of the third button. Then I want to change the name of the fourth button. Alright, so I've got steps 8, 9, 10, and 11. So the first button from button 1 to button red, the second one from button 2 to button white, the third one from button 3 to button blue, and the fourth one from button 4 to button exit. So I'm doing the same thing. Again, all I'm doing here is changing the order in which I'm performing the operations. So this one I'm going to go and change the name to button red. I'm not worrying about the text on there yet, so that's button red. Then my next one is button white. My next one is button blue. And the last one is button exit. Okay, so I've got those done. I've now changed the name of my form, my first button, my second button, my third button, and my fourth button. So that's all done. All right, so let's go back to our steps here. All right, so I've done all of this, these 11 steps here. Now, I want to come in and change the text of the first button. Well, actually, I want to do all 4, so. So I want to change the text of the first button from button to red, change the text of the second button from button to white, change the text on the third button from button to blue, finally change the text on the of the fourth button from button to exit. So this, I want to go down to the text, and I want to change it to red. And I want to go to the next one, and I want to change the text from button 2 to white. The next one, I'm again going to go and change the text, this time from button 3 to blue. And the last one from button 4 to exit. All right. So now I believe all it remains is to add our code. Last one we had 23 steps on it. I think I'm doing it the same way. All right. So I'm going to just steal this right here because it's the same steps. Oh, we got it here. There we go. Step 16 then will be to double click the button red and add the following code. This.back color equal color red. So that's that one. I'm going to have less steps because I'm not saving and running the program as many times. Okay. So 17. I'm going to double click the button white and add that code. I'm then going to double click the button blue and add that code. And then finally, I'm going to double click the button exit and add that code. And again, I would have the same number of steps, except I'm not running it 4 times. I'm only running it once, just to do a little, change it up and do something a little different. All right, so we're going to double click the button red and add this code. All right, next we're going to double click the white and we're going to add this code. Then we're going to double click the blue and add this code. And finally, we're going to double click the exit button and add this code. All right, I want to save and run it again. So there's red, there's white, there's blue, white, red, blue, red, white, white, blue, red, white, red, blue, blue, white, red, blue, red, white. I believe those are all the combinations. Click exit. The only thing I'm going to do, and I don't have to do this, but I'm going to go and stop the run, and I want to go back here, and for my form, since this one looks pretty good, this is version 2 of our program, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to save this, and now I can close the program because I'm done with it. But I'm going to do a file open, and I'm going to open up my original program, which was version 1. And now on here, I'm going to make sure that I have pretty much them saying the same thing here. So now this will say this is version 01 of our All-American program. Now they're basically the same program except for the fact that I did the steps in different order, and the background color of this one is yellow and the background color of the other one is pink. Other than that, they're virtually the same program, which is what I tried to show you. I'm going to come back in just a couple minutes and do 2 more things. I'm going to build that calculator app as a console app because I'm not sure how it will be for time tomorrow. And then after I get done with that, I'm going to build that calculator app as a GUI. All right, so I'm going to come back and do those as 2 different lectures in just a couple minutes.